settle for a horror movie when we can go and see the real thing? You want to hear the ghost story? They call him Rock Creep.
This girl, man. This girl will take you places.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2022 horror thriller Those Who Walk Away, a film that is directed by Robert Ripberger and it stars Boo Boo Stewart and Scarlett Sperduto. Now this film focuses on a young couple, Max and Avery, who meet on a dating app. They get together for the first time, meet up, go on a date, and a big chunk of the first half of this film is these two getting to know each other, just having random conversations. They can't go to the cinema as planned, so Avery comes up with a suggestion of not bothering with a pretend horror film at the cinema and going to a local haunted house. Max agrees, so when they get there, things really start to escalate, and Max learns that the whole date that Avery has cooked up may well have sinister intentions. Right, what are my thoughts on Those Who Walk Away? This is a difficult film to review in some aspects because it's a well-made. First of all, I do want to say it's a well-made film. I think the pacing is going to irritate a lot of people because, like I said, much of the runtime of the start of this film is just these two characters getting to know each other, going on this date, and lots of the conversations are what you would expect on a couple meeting for the first time, all this kind of stuff. And if you pay attention to the nuances in the conversation, you can see it slowly taking a dark turn. But I think impatient filmgoers, I think, are going to struggle with this film in that aspect. But I like a film that's brave. I like a film that's different and likes to do a setup slightly differently. And this is certainly one that does that. I'm just not sure everyone's going to be pleased with it. So I don't necessarily think the front of this film, the start of this film, is going to impress or hold a lot of people's attention. There were even times when I was kind of losing my attention, losing my focus, because I just was kind of like, okay, where's the horror in this? Then things really start to get interesting when they get to this so-called haunted house, and you learn the true intentions of the Avery character. And then the film then becomes something else. It becomes like a real tense horror movie. I was trying to think of the right word there because horror movie, I'm not sure, is the right label to give this film. It's quite nuanced in its approach to telling a horror story. There are a couple of moments that will certainly get the fear up. But I think that's more to do with its clever use of light and sound. It's almost like it's an assault of the senses, this film. I mean, it actually gives you a warning at the beginning of the film that this potentially could trigger an epileptic seizure sort of thing. And when you watch a film, you completely understand why. I mean, there's blinking lights, flashing lights all over the place in this. He walks into rooms and they're upside down. He's getting confused by watching TV shows that don't exist. There's a child in the house, or is there a child in the house? Is he seeing things? Is he not seeing things? Who is this child? What is the child's connection to the house? And there's all this stuff going on that like assaults your senses with the noises and the sounds and the sights. It never really falls to a level where you can just get at the very core of you scared with this film. It's an unusual approach to horror, I would say. And as you can see there, the creature, the ghost, the entity, whatever you want to call it, because it's never really made clear. I think they give him a name at some point. Is it Rothead or something like that? For me, it looked like The Fiend. If anybody that watches WWE will know what I mean. I know he's not in there at the minute, Bray Wyatt, but it looked like The Fiend. but there's no denying it was certainly effective, especially when it was creeping up behind him. It certainly puts the fear in you. So I think for many, including myself, I think this film is a little bit leans too heavy into art house. It's a bit more best described as style over substance again, and I think it probably. I think audience members, for the most part, would have appreciated a simpler horror tale than the film they attempted to give us. But that's not me massively criticising the film, because it is different and it is original. It's just not a contemporary horror film, I suppose. It's not one that mass audiences, I think, are going to be attracted to or triggered to. But it is probably one that will impress some critics, and it may be one of those that develops its own audience or life a few years down the line, when there's a little bit more of an understanding of the film it's trying to be, the film it's trying to tell. For me, sometimes when you put on a horror film, you don't necessarily want to be... I don't know, you don't want to be played about with as an audience member in regards to cheap tricks like the, assault on the senses and things like that. Sometimes you just want a simple horror story. This is certainly not that. It's not a disaster. There's some interesting stuff going on in this film, but for me, an awful lot of it just didn't work. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. So thank you very much for watching. Of course, I will be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.